Hello to you, my very best friend. Welcome to another video. In this one in particular, we're doing the classic. I'm recommending 5 lesser known alternatives to a bunch of popular fragrances. Whether these popular fragrances are ones that you already own and love and you're looking for something that fills a similar niche, or maybe you like these popular ones but you want something that's a little bit more off the beaten path, something that is a little bit more you, I gotcha. Now, these recommendations are not necessarily meant to be one-to-one replacements because what would be the point? You can just wear the popular fragrances if you like them. No one's gonna make fun of you for it. These recommendations will either be within the same genre, or they will use the same ingredients in a different way, or they just have a similar vibe. They are fragrances that are trying to do the same things, can be worn in the same situations, that sort of thing. Now, very importantly, this list is not meant to disparage the popular fragrances. All of these popular fragrances that I am providing alternatives for are fragrances that I like to one degree or another. So if one of these popular fragrances that I'm providing an alternative for is your favorite fragrance of all time, no offense is meant to you. We're just having fun talking about good fragrances. Okay, so let's kick this video off with what is admittedly the biggest stretch on this list. If you like Spice Bomb Extreme by Victor and Rolf, try Inverness by Memo Paris. So these two don't necessarily smell alike, but stick with me for a second. This might be a little controversial, but to me, Spice Bomb Extreme is not that spicy. There are spices in here for sure. I know that the notes list pepper and cumin, but for the most part, those are buried underneath a layer of what I think are its primary ingredients, which are vanilla and tobacco. As a result, you get something that is, despite the name, surprisingly smooth, very sweet, and which is given just a tiny layer of interest and personality thanks to whatever spices are in it. Now, Inverness, even though it shares almost none of the same notes, is composed in a very similar way. Instead of Spice Bomb Extreme's tobacco and vanilla, Inverness has sandalwood and iris butter, and instead of whatever spices are in the Spice Bomb, Inverness uses mate. And so, as a result, you have two fragrances that are both smooth and sweet, and which each have unique ingredients that give them their own personality, just barely trickling up through the base. More than anything, I think that Inverness is a more grown-up version of Spice Bomb. That's not to say that it smells mature or that younger people can't wear it. It's more that the sweetness is less blatant, it's less in your face, and really all the ingredients are just of a higher tier than I think they are in Spice Bomb. Overall, I just find Inverness to be more classy and more elegant, even though it's usable in all of the same situations that Spice Bomb is. Again, they might not smell the exact same, but I think that there's enough of a similarity for me to say, if you like Spice Bomb Extreme, check out Inverness. Next, if you like Montal's Intense Cafe, which I sure do, try Xerjoff's Golden Dollar. Now, I absolutely love Intense Cafe. It is one of my favorites. I would absolutely recommend it to everybody. But the common knock against it, and similar to Spice Bomb Extreme, is that it doesn't really live up to its name. It is neither really intense nor cafe. It is primarily a rosy vanilla, and the coffee in it smells like if you half opened a tin of coffee and left it across the room. It's very light, barely there. Some people say that it's not even there at all. Golden Dollar, on the other hand, is like if you put rose petals in that coffee tin and just... If you are familiar at all with how Xerjoff does rose in their fragrances, this will be no stranger to you. It's that same Bulgarian rose that they use everywhere that is very sweet and also juicy? Like, I don't know what other word to use to describe it. I guess jammy or dewy, but it's like smelling a really juicy orange, but in the form of a rose. And that is mixed with a deep, dark black coffee. And hoo boy is it intense. I have this small Xerjoff sample. By the way, if you are curious, if you ever order a sample pack directly from Xerjoff, this is what they give you. But yeah, this tiny little 2 ml spray bottle, like half a spray is verging on too much. It is crazy strong. Like I said, I love Intense Cafe, but if you are looking for a fragrance that is actually an Intense Cafe, check out Golden Dollar by Xerjoff. Next up, if you like Mancera's Cedrat Boisé, try Bois et Cuir by Vertus. Now, I like Cedrat Boisé well enough. I owned it for a time, but I eventually sold it because I couldn't get past the feeling that every time I wore it, I was wearing two different fragrances. On one end, you have the bright citrusy lemon, and on the other end you have the deep, smoky, leathery woods. And for me specifically, maybe it was the batch that I got or something, but the leather was very, very strong. It really overwhelmed every other part of the fragrance, and I just generally felt that it lacked cohesion between those two elements. Bois Queer does basically the exact same scent profile, but it just does both ends of the spectrum better. I'm one of those people who, when they smell lemon in a fragrance, unfortunately smells lemon cleaning products, and so I prefer the way the citrus is handled in Bois Queer because it is much less lemon and far more bergamot. It is this dreamy, addictive citrus note, and that is supported perfectly by the Queer, the leather. I said this in my last video about Soradora's Mandorle, but it also applies here. The leather in this fragrance does not smell photorealistic, which I much prefer. It is more an approximation of leather than it is a representation of an old jacket or a baseball glove. But where with Mandorle that I was talking about in that other video, that was a very bottom-heavy, almost gourmand-like sweet leather, in Bois Queer it is sharp. It's weirdly kind of almost metallic. I don't know how you can have a metallic leather, but somehow they figured it out in cutting out that bottom end. What it does is it moves the two poles of the fragrance closer together. It operates more cohesively as one whole idea. It doesn't smell like you are layering two things on top of each other. It's really wonderful. Even as a leather hater, I love it. I think that in another world, it would take the place of Cedrat Boisé in the sort of fragrance community public eye. I think that it is superior to Cedrat Boisé in pretty much every single way, except for price. The thing with Cedrat Boisé, and part of what I think makes it so important to the fragrance community as a whole, is how well priced it is. I believe I got my 120ml bottle of Cedrat Boisé for about $100 Canadian, which, like, for the quality that you're getting, for the fragrance that you're getting, that's basically unbeatable. But the good news about Veritas is that their fragrances from discounters are still pretty affordable. I have yet to buy Bois Queer. I have thought about it many times, but I believe I've seen it as low as like $130 Canadian for a 100ml bottle. So yes, you are paying more and getting less for it, but I think it's worth it, especially considering that's basically what designers cost nowadays. Bois Queer, like pretty much all of the Veritas fragrances I have tried, the quality is absolutely top-notch. The performance and longevity and all of that good stuff leaves nothing to be desired. I said it in my last video and I'll say it again. They are one of my favorite houses and I think one of the most underrated in the fragrance market today. All of this is to say that if you like Cedrat Boisé, or even if you don't like it, I think Bois Queer is worth checking out. If you have any interest in that scent profile at all, I think that Bois Queer handles it better than anyone else. Moving on, if you like fragrances like Parfums de Marly's Carlisle, or Mancera's Red Tobacco, or Kayali's, what is it called? Kayali's Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli, or Argo's Triumph of Bacchus. I'm assuming, I haven't smelled it yet, but I've heard that it's very similar. If you like anything in that dirty vanilla patchouli genre, try Vany Rum by Lorenzo Battaglia. What I think separates Vany Rum from the others in this genre is its use cases. A lot of these fragrances are modified with ingredients that give them a very strong low end, making them more suitable for the fall, for cooler, rainy days. Vany Rum pushes into the other direction. Instead of a deep tobacco or woody or spicy base, Vany Rum has a beautiful mix of rum and caramel, which gives it some mid-range body, and pretty much everything else is situated in the high end. The vanilla, or as it seems to be in most of Lorenzo's fragrances, the combination of a bunch of different types of vanilla, is pretty realistic. It's not like a cloyingly sweet synthetic designer-style vanilla, and the patchouli is bright and green, almost on the verge of being medicinal, which normally I hate, but it works really well here. It also does my absolute favorite thing that I wish that more fragrances would do. It is, I guess, aldehydic. It has this brightness. It makes it fizzy, almost like a sparkling drink. Generally, I find aldehydes can smell a bit soapy or fatty, but in here it is just the fizziness and nothing more. And as you would expect with the other fragrances in this genre, the performance here is excellent. It's very strong. It's pretty close to an all-day fragrance when I wear it. Everything in it works together to make a really great year-round, highly versatile fragrance. fragrance. I think if you're looking for something that is similar to, but slightly more wearable than the big name fragrances above, check out Vany Rum. And lastly, instead of buying your regular run-of-the-mill boring blue fragrances like Bleu de Chanel Parfum or Costa Azura Parfum or YSL's Y or Sauvage or Luna Rosa Carbon, Elysium Eau Intense, Sauvage Eau de Parfum, Dylan Blue, Salt and Pepper, YSL's Y EDP, Acqua de Jo, Sauvage Parfum, Gladiator, Polo Blue. Instead of all of those, try Ife by Foop. Now, calling Ife a blue fragrance is honestly kind of insulting to it. It deserves better than to be lumped in with those regular boring blue fragrances, but it does share some similarities. When I think of blue fragrances, I think of something with bright citruses and a base that is some combination of woods and ambroxan and musk. Ife has all those things in a somewhat similar combination, but it also has a lot more. It's got a very slight floral touch to it, a bit of rose and geranium in the background, but what really sets it apart are its mineralic and mojito notes. It's blue, but it's also boozy and minty, and the mineralic notes give it a sharp edge that I guess is more felt than it is smelled. It doesn't smell salty or funky, it just gives the fragrance this cooling, piercing aspect that really helps it feel cutting and present. The quality and performance here is great, and the price, like all of Foop's products, is very affordable, though unfortunately I believe that they only offer 30ml bottles at this time. It is what it is, but at least the bottle designs are super cool. Anyways, if I am going to call Ife a blue fragrance, I'm going to say that it's one that is made with more thought and care than most others, and which does enough to make it stand out amongst a very, very overcrowded genre. Definitely worth your time and attention. Check out Ife by Foop. So that has been this video. We did it. We finally managed to make a video that was not 24 minutes long. So if you are still watching, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. And as always, I will see you later. Goodbye.